'n baie warm welkom by nog 'n episode van Agri Monitor. Vandag Dinsdag die 7de Junie en dit is sommer goed koud hier in Windhoek. Nou ja, in vandag se nuusgesprek en plaastoesegment kuier ons steeds op die plaas Okamutombe van meneer Schneider en sy familie. Nou die plaas daar buite Grootfontein natuurlik was so 2 naweke terug die fokuspunt gewees in daai geweste toe die Okabra boeredag daar aangebied is. Nou Pieter Zensi gesels in hierdie gesprek oor die aanpasbaarheid van koeie en ook hulle grootte, hoe dit die aanpasbaarheid raak, terwyl Sonja Schneider gebruik of gesels oor hoe EBV's of natuurlik geraamde teelwaardes in die Okabra Brahman-stoet gebruik word. Elvira Hattingh wat dan daar lekker saam gekuier het by die Schneiders se boeredag. Nou ja, bly ingeskakel daarvoor, net nou is ons terug ook met ons veilings, dagboek en vleispryse.
Funding facility and the risk aspects that are related to the potato production is also
What we've heard up to now is stud breeding, and I'm sure your brains are buzzing, and it is on a very high level. I now will come down to floor level. I'm a member of Costa Study Group, Euro Study Group for nearly 40 years now, and over all, or most, say 35 years, we've collected data on mostly on production and financial for farming, of cattle farming and of agronomy. So if I show statistics, the statistics of my statistics from the study group, we handed in the rough data, the weights, and Arne, who's sitting there, he did the calculations. This is over 28 years, and I didn't cook up these statistics, it's Arne. He did it, because some people say I only believe statistics I cook up myself. It's him. So over 28 years, my cow weight started just below 500 kilogram. And I did what most farmers did. I selected for big bulls, for high 600 day weight. And the correlation between the 600 day weight and the mature cow weight is very high. So as a result, over the years, my cows got heavier. Okay? With that, of course, my oxen also were heavier, my weaners were heavier, and I was happy. Till I realized that the percentage of the weaning weight to the cow's weight when weaning, persentasie van die kalf se gewig teenoor die koeie se gewig, it declined. While the cows were lighter, below 500 kilograms, they nearly touched on 50% of their weight. So the calves nearly weighed 50% of the cow's weight. And as the cows got heavier, that percentage went down. So these heavy cows were not as effective anymore as the lighter cows. And that is what Mario said, because they need more to sustain themselves and can get less to the calf. Nguni sou die ideale bees vir ons gewees het, maar daar is nie 'n mark vir hom, niemand wil hom hê nie. Okay? So today, farming practices, selection of what I did as a commercial farmer over the years. We collected data, AgriSnat, that was NAU collected data over a few years. We saw that the average farmer produces about 8.5 kilogram of live mass per hectare, cattle ranching. With the $30 price we have today, that is $255 income, gross income per hectare. 50% of that goes to expenses, running costs, only running costs, which leaves you with 127 or 765,000 per annum on a 6,000 hectare farm. Of this, you have to pay your rent, you have to do new improvements, and you have to pay taxes, and then only you start to live on it. So if you want to improve that, what are you going to do? You must have an objective, you must have a view. What do you want to do? Most of us are just farming. We are boer maar so aan. But you must decide in which direction you want to go. If you want to increase profit by, I'm just touching on this really quickly, either bigger area. If you don't get enough from your little farm, try a bigger area. You can diversify, get a better price for the product. You can try to decrease expenses, which mostly is very difficult, or you can increase production on the farm you have, and that is what this day is about. You need to assess first where you are currently, and for that you have to keep records. And that is what we did with the study group over many years. Without records, you don't know in which direction you're going. Therefore, you need identification, individual identification of animals. And I see many farmers don't do it. I myself, I do it with the maxi tag. All of our cattle have ear tags. I buy the bigger one, and the calf gets this ear tag. So this one was born in 1911. In 2011, number 14, it's much easier to pick out the cows or whatever animal you have or you want to have. By this tag, we say bring 11 and 14 instead of bring 04140909. You can identify, of course, in any other way. Weigh animals, I know that not everybody can and wants to weigh animals, but I think if you can do it once a year and evaluate on a yearly basis, evaluate your production, evaluate your reproduction. What did I produce in the previous year? And is it going into the right direction? Is it increasing? Is it increasing my profit on the farm? Production is a function of stocking rate, reproduction, which we are mainly speaking on today, growth and losses. Those make up the production of your cattle herd. For reproduction, I say healthy, fertile cows with sufficient healthy bulls with libido, with adequate good grazing, with correct dick supplementation, and regular access to suitable wild water, they calve 90% or higher. That is what they can do. That is what a cow can do. Now we must manage to get as close to that as possible. For a healthy breeding herd, do not buy in female animals. It's very, very dangerous to buy in female animals on auctions. If you can, just your own heifers. If you have to buy in, try to buy in directly from another farmer. You do not know what is running around on the auctions. There's a lot of sicknesses, trichomonia and vibriosa in cattle herds around Grootfontein. Test regularly for those two sicknesses.
Agri Monitor is jou weeklikse landbouprogram wat jou die jongste nuus bring oor die landboubedrywighede, produkte, dienste en onderwerpe wat hiermee verband hou. Ons streef daarna om uit te reik na alle boere, landbou- en finansiële instellings, sowel as landbou-entoesiaste. Die program word op NTV en oneup2.com uitgesaai en word ook op Agri Monitor, Republikein en Naby Media Holdings se platforms gedeel. Agri Monitor fokus op die nuusgesprek, plaas toe, dagbesoek, vleispryse en veilings. Vir enige advertensie of nuusverwante navrae, kontak Agri Monitor @synergy.com.na.
My name is Sonja Schneider. For those of you who don't know me, I'll be talking about the genetic values in tail in terms of the estimated breeding values, EBVs, and how we manage the EBVs to get the best out of our cattle. So the first thing would be what estimated breeding values really are and do their work. So I just want to put this out to you. You always have one animal that looks physically fantastic, but an animal consists, first of all, one part genetics, which is underneath the skin. You can't see that. You can't look at an animal and see its genetics. You maybe see what the environment made out of that animal, whether it got enough feed, whether it survived a drought, whether it receives lick or not. So the reason we use EBVs, or estimated breeding values, is to look under the skin of the animal to determine this part. And now, putting this into the perspective of fertility, environment definitely has an impact of fertility. Just as Mickey said, the body condition of a cow, you give her feed, and then she'll get a better body condition, and she'll most likely take calf. But genetics also have an influence on fertility, and that's what we're going to look at here. So, just by show of hands, who of you uses EBVs to select animals or look? Peter? A few, okay. So, I think the concept of EBVs is familiar, or most of you know, but I believe there's a lot of people sitting here who are very skeptical about it, and they are not sure they can trust the science behind this. And I had a talk on this last year, and I really want to discuss this with you. I've got my slides and everything. We can come to me afterwards, and we can, in the breaks, and we can discuss this, because it will just take too much time. But I can already tell you, I did some data collection, and there's really proof in the pudding. I can show you what we have, and it's really worth trusting the science. This is just a big table of all the EBVs. You don't have to see it in detail, but this is all the EBVs, and you'll find every animal in every EBV between the lowest and the highest value, and then there's one average. Where you can look at, for example, for the 200 days, which is sitting here, you'll have a top value and you'll have a bottom value, and an animal can be placed anywhere here. So, but which is the right way? How does an animal have to look like? How does EBVs have to look like to know whether it's a good animal or not? And this is what I'm going to talk about now. Everybody of you, or not everybody, but per couple, you got this little table here. Maybe you can take it out and have a close look, because I'm going to explain it to you now. So this is basically that big table I've shown you just now. This is the color-coded one, just to make it easier for you to see what we at Okabra do, and it might be that you have different goals for yourself, but this is what we at Okabra believe is how the genetic makeup of an animal should look like to perform optimally in Namibia in these dry, arid conditions. So what we are aiming for is we want to, and this birth weight negative is more favorable. So we want a calf that has a lower birth weight than average, or just average, for easy birth. We don't want these big, heavy calves where you would struggle to have the calf in the veld. But we also don't want these very weak calves, because they won't survive. Then after the calf is born, we want it to grow rapidly to wean a strong weaner at 200 days, and then the growth must come down to eventually have a cow that has a mature cow weight around average or below average. We don't want monsters on our Namibian veld. It doesn't work. We need compact animals that are able to survive in the veld, in the drought. As Maggie said, with that erratic rainfalls, with conditions we can't forecast, it's good to have cows that are well adapted. And for us, this is the perfectly adapted animal. However, you won't. Not every animal has these traits. This would be a double curve bender, small birth weight, big, fast growth, and then coming down to below average mature cow weight. But they are available, but you'll have to look closely. And here again, don't single trait select. It depends on your condition or on your farm. So this is just the way you use these, and it's similar for all the other EBVs. The dark green is what we find favorable at Okabra, and the red is where we would say don't go there. Okay. This is how you would look at the bull. If you have an auction and you'll get this kind of table, you look at the bull's EBV, say for example birth weight, it says plus 0.6, and you look here at birth, that's where you place him. Okay, he's just fine. Huh? This is how his EBVs look like. This is actually quite seldom that you find a bull that ticks that many boxes. But then again, see at Ripid Rumfit, it also doesn't tick the boxes. But you won't find the animal that's there very seldom that will be in the dark green everywhere. And this is where we apply this logic. We score all our animals at Okabra. They will, as Maggie already explained, they'll get an overall score, and the visual coloring just helps us to get an idea of how is this animal's genetic makeup, and it supports our decision making. Okay, so now we'll go down into the fertility EBVs. So now you have this list, and there are 2 EBVs that will help you focus especially on fertility. That is the scrotal size and the days to calving. And for scrotal size, we are looking between values 0.8 to 2.2. We don't want these very big scrotums just because they can be injured, and then you'll have a bull that doesn't do his job anymore. And then obviously we don't want these very small testicles because as science has shown us already, scrotal size is correlated with the fertility of the bull. But there are also some, I'll come to this just now. So then days to calving, a negative value is favorable. So this would be minus 13 days. And we want them as far negative as possible for days to calving. Okay, so just to explain this quickly, scrotal circumference. Why do we do this? You might ask. We actually go, and this is Raimo's favorite job, measuring. In 2019 he measured 133 bulls' scrotums, and we recorded everything very neatly and sent it in. And we do this because the bigger the scrotum, the earlier age of puberty, and there's a correlation to increased semen production and improved semen quality. There are also bulls with small scrotums that do have fantastic fertility, but the statistics tell us that's just mostly the bulls with the big scrotums who have these qualities. And then moreover, also bulls with big scrotums tend to have also improved female fertility in their daughters. Okay, then days to calving. This is basically the genetic potential. That's the core of the animal. How do we measure it? We take the date the bull is put in. We record it very, very neatly. And days to calving is from the time we put in the bull to the first calf that is born. And what we do there is to find the cows that take earlier in the breeding season. So those cows who take the bull early in the breeding season will calve earlier, and they are promoted in the EBV. And those cows who don't take at all are penalized, and those who take calf later get a higher days to calving, so a worse days to calving value.
Nou ja, sommer 'n lekker kuier daar op Okamutombe. Volgende aan die beurt, die veilings van die komende week. Op 8 Junie, woensdag 8 Junie, het WLA by Hoogveld 'n grootveeveiling, Agra het 'n grootveeveiling by Mariental, Blouberg het op Grootfontein 'n veiling, NLA by Kalkrand, en dan vind Karoo Oes se veiling, kleinveeveiling by Rehoboth plaas. Op die 9de Junie, Agra hier in Windhoek die eerste Ubuntu produksieveiling, as ook dan op Aminus, Otjiwaronge en Windhoek gewone kommersiële veeveilings. Op die 10de Junie het WLA by Gobabe se grootveeveiling, Agra het op Otawe en Stampret veiling. Stampret veiling is dan die swart modder meatmaster veiling. Namboer het in Windhoek 'n losgoed veiling en NLA het die Stampret en die Mariental kerk veilings. En dan op die 11de Junie, onthou het Agra daar naby Kalkveld, tussen Kalkveld en Omaruru, die Okosongoro Safari Ranch en Super Game wildveiling. En dan op die 14de Junie, het WLA by Rehoboth 'n grootveeveiling. Agra het by Hoogveld, die Hoogveld gesamentlike produksieveiling, en NLA bied op Leonardville die kerkveiling aan. Wat ons landboudagboek betref, 2 geleenthede op die 11de Junie. Die een is die Hoogveldstreekse Bees Indaba. Dit begin 9:00 die oggend op plaas Amatombe, dis so 20 km noord van Hoogveld. Rig julle navraag gerus aan Hella Kotse en daar's haar kontakbesonderhede. Kaartjies is ook by webtickets beskikbaar. En dan ook Saterdag die Super Game en Okosongoro Safari Ranch se jaarlikse Bomma wildveiling. Dit begin 12:00 op die plaas Okosongoro, daarna by Kalkveld. En hierdie jaar is die gasverkopers Klaverberg Stad Game Breeders, en dan ook staatmakers soos Dr. Werner Regel, Dirk de Bot van Dirk de Bot Safaris, Pieter Klaasen van Okosongoro Safari Ranch, en hulle word almal natuurlik ook weer terug verwelkom. Kontak gerus vir Martinique Scott, en daar is haar kontakbesonderhede as julle enige verdere navrae het, en julle kan natuurlik aanlyn by Swift vee registreer. Wat ons vleispryse betref, uitgereik deur die Vleisraad van Namibië, geborg deur Meatmaster vir die week van 3 Junie, dan onderskeidelik die 2 abattoirs, Meatco en Beefco se pryse, kan u daar sien oor die verskillende grade, A, B en B, as ook die C grade, die onderskeie pryse, bietjie teruggeval die afgelope week. Wat ons veilings betref, die was 'n bietjie beter as die vorige week. Tollies verkoop vir $35.08 per kilogram gemiddeld, verse $32.52, stoorosse $29.82, stoorverse $31.08, slagosse $29.56, slagverse $27.82. Koeie kan julle die pryse daar sien, dit hang natuurlik alles af hoe vet of maar die koeie was. Slagbulle kan julle sien $25.27, slagskape by die veilingsdorpers vetsterte onderskeidelik per kilogram verkoop vir $33.77 en $34.89. Bokke het stuk gegaan gemiddeld 1343 en koeie met kalvers is redelik op na 15.807 Namibiese dollar. Nou ja, dit bring ons dan aan die einde van vandag se program. Ek wens julle almal 'n baie geseënde en produktiewe week op julle plase toe. Onthou dit is veldbrandseisoen, die wind waai. Wees asseblief uiters versigtig met enige iets op plase wat vure kan veroorsaak en natuurlik ook die kolebranders versoek ons om te hou by die reëls wat gestel word. Groete tot volgende week. Totsiens.
Okay.